Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm extremely happy to be here today to tell you a story that started in my hometown, Mantova, uh, around the second half of the 1995. Mantova, it's basically a country town in the middle of nowhere in the northern part of Italy. And it's so small that it was around 1998 I was about to move to Milan to start my professional career. And one of the things that excited me the most about moving to Milan was that I would have been able to experience the Blockbuster rental experience, because Blockbuster was not present in my hometown. And if we look at the Blockbuster story, they started in 1985, opening the first small shop in Dallas. And they were disrupting the home video experience industry. Because till then, to watch a movie in your home, on your couch, you had to buy, literally buy, a cassette for the cost of 100 bucks, a lot of money. And they decided to completely change the experience and let you just rent the cassette and then give it back. In 1997, Viacom acquired them for an enormous amount of money. But then what happened? 2010, they were delisted from the NISA, and in 2013, they went default. So if we look at their story, if we look at their lifeline, we see, the first of them, I love lines, I love charts. The first of the charts I'm showing you today, which is called Sustain Advantage. This is the lifeline that described every market, every industry, every venture for many, many years. And what the industry were doing is that they were trying to jump up on the highest part of the chart as soon as possible and then defend their advantage. Because by defending their advantage, they were able to grow potentially indefinitely. And that's what Blockbuster did when they started to launch the VHS rental system. And they kept their advantage when the DVD came to the scene, right? But then something happened, because we know they defaulted in 2013. Something happened. A new competitor joined the scene. And this new competitor was Netflix, which was, again, playing against Blockbuster, but instead forcing you in moving out, maybe under the rain, and get to the store. They were sending the DVD at home. And they were much, much more pleasant guys when it comes to the fees you had to pay for delays in return. So if you remember the Sustain Advantage chart, you know that Blockbuster had to do something to defend their advantage. And what they did is that they tried to increase the offering. So they start renting console games, and then they start selling ice creams, and then started to make you rent the console for the weekend. But still, the returns kept going down and down. And eventually, we know that they went filing for bankruptcy in 2013. Now you see that the shape of the chart has completely changed. We're moving today from the realm of sustained advantage to the realm of transient advantage. It means that every product you're building, every corporation you're working for, every venture you're launching, you won't be able to sustain your advantage indefinitely. You will go through launch, ramp up, exploit, and reconfigure. And we already know that our competitors, 5 years from now, will be completely different from the competitors we have today. And if we look at some of the industries out there, for example, the hotel industry, the biggest competitor of an hotel is a corporation who owns 0 rooms. If we look at the taxi industry, the biggest competitor of the taxi industry is, well, everybody with a car and a phone, basically. And the story of the transient advantage is that you're not done once you are reconfiguring. You need to get into your next gig. You need to reconfigure your product to get into the next line of transient advantage. And again, and again, and again. So what Blockbuster was doing when they tried to add console games and ice cream and whatever to their offering, they were playing not to lose. They were trying to defend the advantage they get, but not losing the customer they have. But what Netflix was doing, they were playing to win. And at Frog, we have a methodology for organizations who want to play to win, which is called venture design, which is a series of techniques to leverage design in the creation of new businesses from zero to launch. And the initial part of the transient advantage curve is exactly where venture design provides the biggest results. For example, Idea Shaper, the two entrepreneurs behind Idea Shaper came to us a couple of years ago, and we decided to invest equity in them. So we bought stocks in that organization. And they came to us with a prototype. They said, look guys, we think we are disrupting the 3D printing industry by innovating the methodology that the machine operates. And by doing this, we can create a mass market, low-cost 3D printer. So through venture design, we work with the team, we work with them to shape the product, design the product, create the digital experience and the digital ecosystem, and creating the branding strategy and the business strategy. And they were one of the most successful campaigns on Indiegogo. They had more than 3,000 early stage users, and eventually they landed at $6.5 million worth of round A investment. I think by now you already understood I'm very passionate about lines and curves. This, my Gartner friends will love me now for this. This is, we already have seen this. There's a peculiar part in this chart, which is the most dangerous one, right? It's where Blockbuster completely failed when Netflix came to the scene. And it's called the throw of disillusionment. This is where your product will fail. This is where your technology will hit the bottom. This is where your company will go Hello Kitty. Let's take one of the technology that are around the peak of that hype cycle curve. For example, let's take the smart home technology, Nest, or any of those products. Well, smart home is not delivering against their promise. How many people has a smart home device at home? Raise your hands. I would say 3%, 2%. It's almost like what's happening on the market, right? It's not a mass market product. There's no standard distributed throughout different organizations. We're not just there yet. So how can we make the throw of disillusionment shorter in time and less deep? So how can we avoid our organization to follow the steps of Blockbuster? Well, one good example could be IKEA. So IKEA, they produce, low-cost, nice designed furniture for our homes. They have a global presence, and that's how they play not to lose. But then they decided to launch globally a new series of product for the smart home. And they were competing, they decided to compete directly, for example, with a Philips Hue lighting system, with a price that is 75% less. Same product, better experience, less price. And now they're invading our homes through the IKEA stores, and they're making the technology compatible with cloud technologies such as Google or if this then else. And this is why they are playing to win. This is how they're playing to win. If you think of Amazon, playing not to lose for Amazon is launching the Amazon Basics offering, right? Cables and stuff everybody needs. But the playing to win, guys, it's Alexa. That's how Amazon will disrupt the e-commerce market. There are principles for venture design. The first one is that you need to drive continuous engagement of your team, of your customers, and of your main stakeholders. The second one is that progressing, advancing, is much, much more important than the process. You don't want to block yourself into a customized process. Third one of those I love most, grant and defend autonomy, which means, pardon my French, fuck internal politics. fuck legacy systems. If we want to progress, because we said that progressing is more important than the process, then the team needs to be free to advance as fast as possible, needs to be empowered in making the right decision at the right moment. And the third one, the most important, is that the impact is the constant. And how you get to obtain that impact is the variable. So you won't be designing the product, you will be designing the impact. And one good example of how we applied this is for Saudi Telecom. So Saudi Telecom is one of the biggest telecommunication company in the Middle East. They are by far the largest incumbent in Saudi Arabia. But if you start looking at a very important market for them, the millennials, so age range 12 to 30, our age, Paul, then they lose against their competitors. So playing not to lose in their case would have been lowering the tariffs or adding new products or getting the new movie star on TV for their commercials. What they decided was the typical play-to-win decision. So they decided to start up an entire new venture called Jawi, which in Arabic means my atmosphere, because it's all about the personalization of the experience, that was focusing exactly on the target market they want to win. They want to become big in. And it was a very, very fast-paced project. And we had the CEO sitting with us in the team, making decisions at the end of every week. At the end of every development sprint, we had the CEO jumping in our office and making decisions with us. And steering business strategy based on the impact we were building for the product. We had designers and technologists and strategists working side by side from the very first moment of the product. And we were free to engage external partners at our will, not at the STC will. In 4 months, they were able to, from scratch, to deliver the telco to the market with the first MVP and to start getting traction and getting new clients. And today, Jawi is the telecommunication company with the highest Net Promoter Score globally. So, I work in a very, very fun industry. Most of the people think that design is just about designing the product, how it appears. I think that we should all know by now that designing is not how it appears, but how it works. Thank you very much.